The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans Candidates Forum 2015. My name's Dave Anthony, and I'll be your moderator for this evening. The first order of the evening, of course, would be to introduce our three candidates, and in the order in which they are on your camera, from left to right. Candidate number one, Independent, Rex Barnes. Candidate number two for the Liberal Party, Al Hawkins, and candidate number three for the Progressive Conservative Party, Mark Whiffen. And at this time, we also need to introduce our two panelists, two fine-looking people straight ahead of me, and I'm sure you'll see them on your screen. And they are Margot Pitcher and Shane Budgell. So welcome, everybody, to our forum 2015. The order of the evening will be as follows, and we'll try to stick to it as closely as we can. There will be a 3-minute opening statement by each of the candidates. That will then be followed by 6 questions with 1 minute, 30-second responses. And we're now going to hand the questions over to our lovely assistant, who will take them to the panelists. The candidates then will ask one question to another candidate, which will be a 2-minute response segment. And finally, we'll have our 3-minute closing statements. So that then is the order of the evening. So right now, I'd like to welcome again each of the candidates. And we'll start with candidate number one, again to introduce or reintroduce for the independent sector of our system, Rex Barnes. And Mr. Barnes, the time starts with the buzzer. So welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Moderator, candidates, and the residents of Grand Falls-Windsor, why am I running in this provincial election as an independent? I decided to run in the provincial election to offer the people in Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans district another choice. After hearing many vibes regarding the candidate selection and after receiving much encouragement from the residents of the district, and after quite a lot of soul searching, I decided to run as an independent. Running as an independent will allow me to speak freely regarding any concerns of the district. I can assure you that I will work on your concerns and issues with every ounce of energy to get the job done for you. I have dedicated much of my working life to serving people in my professional career and in my political career as a councillor, mayor, and a member of parliament. I feel that my commitment towards my work has been unwavering, and I have worked honestly with integrity and loyalty. Long-term care beds. We are living in a district with an aging population, and it is rapidly increasing yearly. We must strive to help and offer people a better way to doing things. Our government has created so much red tape that it has succeeded in taking away the dignity of our seniors who do not know where to turn at this stage in their life. The burden of senior care is left to the responsibility of the families. Increased hydroelectric costs and Nalcor. It's public knowledge that the Muskrat Falls has and will continue to cause our electrical bills to increase. It is reported that Nalcor is producing approximately 54 megawatts of energy on the Exploits River and is earning approximately $33 million after expenses. I strongly feel that our district should have been involved in a revenue sharing or grant due to the hydro that this river produces. Due to the mayor accepting a political appointment on the Nalcor board during this critical time, a conflict of interest developed. It is impossible to serve two masters, the PC party and the people of the town. And as you are aware, that our district did not benefit at all. Both parties, the Liberals and the PCs, have gone to the federal government stating their position on natural resources and the adjacency principle. Yet this principle has been ignored when looking at the communities on the banks of the Exploits River. The forestry. I would question why the provincial government has not moved to find alternate ways to utilize our available forestry assets. Why haven't they succeeded in attracting private investors, in providing jobs in the manufacturing sector, such as a wood pellet plant or making the wooden pellets used in the transportation industry? Seniors. Seniors cannot wait for an income tax refund, nor should they. Tax incentives and fuel rebates and other programs are good. However, many seniors need money now to pay for food, fuel, medicine, and other monthly expenses. It is sad to say that our seniors go to the mall to get warm as they cannot afford to heat their homes. This is wrong, and the government need to act now.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Candidate number 2, representing the Liberal Party of Newfoundland and Labrador, Mr. Hawkins, sir. Al Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'd like to thank Rogers TV and the Chamber of Commerce for hosting tonight's debate. I'd also like to acknowledge the other candidates here this evening and those of you, of course, who are watching at home. It's certainly my pleasure to be here. Tonight, you will have the opportunity to hear more about my plan and the Liberal plan for the new district of Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans. A new Liberal government will deliver stronger leadership, better management, long-term planning, and an open government for a stronger tomorrow. Tonight, we will discuss some of the topics that you've identified as biggest issues and concerns here in Central Newfoundland. I look forward to those questions. For 16 years, I have committed my efforts to serving the residents of this area as a municipal politician. I have heard your concerns, stood by you in difficult times, and helped celebrate your accomplishments. I have made Grand Falls-Windsor my home, taking pride in residing right here in the heart of our great province. I have known many of you through my years on the Exploits Chamber of Commerce, in my work as a mortgage consultant, or in the many community activities that I have been proud to play a role in. This is why I hope you will place your support in me to represent you on the provincial level as a member of the Dwight Ball team. The Liberal Party has unveiled a 5-point plan that focuses on restoring openness, transparency, and accountability, building a stronger, smarter economy, improving health and health care, supporting safe and sustainable communities, and investing in our future through education. And we are joined by thousands of people across this province who have encouraged and have the courage to deliver a message of hope for a stronger tomorrow. A stronger tomorrow means health care that's outcome-focused, education, early learning that will set our children up for success, economic growth, diversification so there's more good, well-paying jobs, growing our population and bringing young people home, very important to us, promoting thriving communities, and supporting seniors so they can stay in their homes longer. After 12 years of a Conservative government, it's clear we can't keep doing the same things and expect the same outcomes. The Liberal Party will deliver the change we need to move beyond today's challenges, and I want to be a part of that change and bring our province back on track to success and prosperity. This province, this district, needs a voice that will be heard loud and clear, from every street corner to the coffee shops to our hospitals, but most importantly in the House of Assembly. The policies of the Liberal Party will set the course for many years. They are solid policies that enable our residents to have hope for tomorrow, a stronger tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. And now our third candidate for the evening, representing the Progressive Conservative Party of Newfoundland and Labrador, Mr. Mark Whiffen.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our viewers at home who are tuning into this important forum tonight. And thank you to the crew at Rogers TV for giving us this opportunity to present ourselves to the constituents. This is an important time in our history. We have an important decision to make on the direction of our province. We have to protect our resources and work to ensure the future of our province and this district is prosperous and sustainable. This is about our future, yours and mine, and I want to be part of shaping it. I work in small business development. As we know, small business is the economic driver in Newfoundland and Labrador. So I understand the importance of small business to the economy, to job creation, and to the sustainability of our communities. But I'm also an active community volunteer. I've led the revival of our cross-country ski club that now has about 300 members. I work and led the local Sea Cadet Corps that placed third in Newfoundland and Labrador for the last 2 years. I have been a cadet instructor cadre officer for 14 years, working with the cadets across this province. I'm an executive member of the Grand Falls-Windsor Cataracts, and I also volunteer with Junior Achievement Newfoundland and Labrador, presenting the Economics for Success program to junior high students. Having the combined experience of economy and community is a great asset, and I think makes me the right person to represent this district. I strongly support our party's position that is based on 4 pillars to build a stronger society: health, opportunity, people, and economy. That's hope. And with hope comes effective leadership to bring Newfoundland and Labrador forward, no matter what challenges lie ahead. I want to pursue a use of our fiber resource that will have economic benefit to our region. I believe there is great opportunity in the preservation and development of the Grand Falls House that will attract much interest. I would like to see rejuvenation of the older parts of Grand Falls-Windsor, like High Street and Main Street, like we see across Canada and like we see in other parts of the world. Looking to the Buchans and Millertown area, there is potential for exploration and development of our resources there as junior mining companies continue exploring. And there are tourism development opportunities across this district that will bring benefits to us all. I would like to see us further entrench ourselves into the business of healthcare. That includes training, education, and research opportunities that will make us a center of excellence in the industry. And I'd like to create the conditions to develop and grow a knowledge-based economy right here. For this to happen, we need to elect someone who has their finger on the pulse, who has a long-term vision, and who could take the steps to make that vision a reality by setting the right priorities. This is the type of leadership I offer, and I respectfully ask the people of Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans to provide me with that opportunity to demonstrate that ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whiffen. Thank you, gentlemen. And now we'll move into the second portion, and we'll number them, second, third, fourth, type of thing, of our evening, and this will be the questions from the panelists. Again, our 2 panelists, for those just joining us, are Margot Pitcher and Shane Budgell. And Shane will be known as panelist number 1, Margot is panelist number 2. And if you get confused partway through that, just take note of their looks and their faces, and we'll get through it really easily. So, Shane, without further ado, I'll throw the first one over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. The first response to question 1 will be independent candidate Rex Barnes.
May I interrupt you for just 1 second? Just a reminder to the candidates, you have 1.5 minutes for each response, and at that time, we reserve the right to go bing and cut you off.
Thank you. The first question: the mining industry has had a significant place in the economy for quite some time in this area. With the recent closure of the Duck Pond mine, what would your plan as an MHA be to help revive that industry?
Thank you very much. As everyone is aware, I'm not belonging to a party. I'm an independent. I speak for the people that have major concerns. I've spoken to people in the mining industry. There are many challenges that's happening. And of course, because of the challenges, some mines have closed down, like Duck Pond, and there's other mines in the Buchans region, like the Valentine mine. And as a result of it, because of the way the cost of recovery of the gold, the product, it's impossible right now. But we need to make sure that we keep informed with all the players involved in the industry to make sure that when the right time is right, that government, whichever government's in power, and if I'm your MHA, I'll be working with that government to make sure that the mining industry moves forward fast and furious for the development of jobs that we need in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you for the question, and certainly the Liberal Party has already made it quite clear that we do have a vested interest in mining. We all know the impact that a closure of any mine will have on a region, and we're certainly cognizant of that. What we've already done is we've made certain policy points already that we're going to encourage the expansion of mining operations in both Labrador and the island by increasing annual investments in the Junior Exploration Assistant Program to $1.5 million per year. We're also going to look at hold steady on funding for prospector grants throughout Newfoundland and Labrador, and in consultation with industry, which is so very, very important, consider creating a new venture capital fund for mineral exploration and development. And this could be done by using existing funding sources and programs. So we are actively looking at that already as part of our policy and platform of the Liberal Party. And we are also going to review the current mining tax regime to ensure that it is competitive and that any exploration taking place in Newfoundland and Labrador can do so in a competitive nature.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Mr. Whiffen.
Thank you. There's no denying that we've all been affected by the world commodities market. And that has obviously had a tremendous effect on the mining sector here in Newfoundland and Labrador, and particularly here in Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans. We do have, going forward, we do need to look at ways to revive the mining industry. But that's going to happen naturally with the improvement of the world market and world commodities. So what we need to do is make sure the groundwork is laid for when that time comes. And we do that by encouraging further exploration by our junior mining companies to keep our prospectors out surveying the land. But it's more than just in the mining sector. It's about creating jobs around the district. And we could do that through various resources that we have, not just the mining industry. We do have a fiber resource that we could hopefully turn to soon. We have other economic development opportunities in healthcare, in education, in our forestry and tourism. So we could expand on that. But there's also we have a potential in Buchans for the barite mine up there. So there's a lot of different opportunities that we could take advantage of to make sure the groundwork is laid for when the markets improve, but also to create jobs with the resources we have available to us now.
Thank you, Mr. Whiffen. For those who are just joining us again, our panelists are now in the process of asking the candidates questions, and I'd like to reintroduce our second panelist, Ms. Margaret Pitcher.
Thank
so,
you.
Margaret, the floor is all yours.
Question number 2 goes to Liberal candidate Al Hawkins. The future of our province depends on training and retaining our youth, as you mentioned in your opening statement. They drive the economy, they have families, they pay taxes. However, we still have significant outmigration. What could you and your party do in this area to retain the youth to our province?
Thank you for that question, Margot. And certainly it's an area of concern that we've had. We have looked at, in developing some of our policy, we've looked at the impact that youth leaving the province has on the economy, and we realize that it's so very, very important for us to focus on that. And what we're basically doing is we're looking at a number of initiatives whereby we can attract youth and retain youth in the province. And what we've basically done is we've come up with a number of initiatives that will encourage our young people through apprenticeships, trying to look at more job opportunities, creating an innovative way in which a strategy to encourage young people to train in the university, to train in our local colleges, and then have a climate of producing job opportunities as soon as when they leave the field, they can train in Newfoundland and then hopefully be able to find the project or work in Newfoundland and Labrador. And I guess one of the other areas that we're looking at is the fact that, we want to broaden the opportunities for our young people. And again, through the education system that we have, we want to provide that. And I know in Central Newfoundland particularly, we are trying, I know that Mark mentioned it's something I've been using for many years. We want to develop an industry of business and healthcare. And I think there are a lot of opportunities in the healthcare sector whereby if the proper training is provided within the province, these opportunities were there. The other area, of course, is innovation and into new technology, which a lot of young people are in. So we're hoping to be able to develop opportunities for our young people in those areas.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Mr. Burns.
Thank you very much. With regards to the youth, we all realize that the youth is our biggest resource. But it's a funny thing about it that the Liberals and the Tories always talk about how important they are, but it seems like their policies goes against what they believe. And one example is the shared service initiative that's presently ongoing in Central Health, in government, I should say, with regards to healthcare. And that is going to be major reductions in IT, financial services, materials management, and human resources. And this is a structure that's taken place to basically people are going to be laid off, and the people who are not going to be laid off, they're going to have their jobs in St. John's. It's taken all the jobs from good paying jobs from young people, and they're going to be sent to St. John's, and there's going to be a group of people not have jobs. So these people are going to be forced to leave town because the money that they're making, good salaries, they're not going to be able to afford to stay here and live. So we're actually pushing our young ones out because of the policies of the parties, and we're not really looking at the consequences that really happens when they come up with these policies that are driving our young people away.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. And thirdly, Mr. Whiffen, sir.
Thank you. When it comes to youth in the province, they're obviously one of our most valuable resources. I'm a youth myself. I'm 32 years old, and I plan on building a long future here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Our party recognized the importance of youth. We created a Youth Advisory Council, and we created a Youth Attraction and Retention Strategy, both implemented by our party. But we need to set the conditions that allow for youth to want to come here and want to stay. And I think that's an area where we haven't been successful in this district for quite some time. The focus hasn't been on youth. So some of the things we need to look at are what youth want are affordable and accessible education. We want jobs when we graduate in our field. And, we want to be able to build our homes and start our families here. And our government has taken the initiative to do that. We've had unprecedented investment in education. We have the lowest tuition and affordable education in the country. We've eliminated student loans and moved them to grants so that when students graduate and young people graduate, they're graduating now with less debt than they ever have. We just introduced the Home Buyers Assistance Program, which allows young people entering the workforce to borrow as part of their down payment, which will allow them to buy their homes earlier. So, we set the conditions. Right now, we need to focus on a lot of the things we spoke about already in terms of growing the job market and creating those jobs in healthcare, in tourism, in entrepreneurship, in our mining resources. So once you create those conditions, the people will come and the people will stay.
Thank you, Mr. Whiffen. Okay, again, I got to keep saying this for those who are just joining us. We're in the midst of our Candidates Forum 2015, Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans, and with our three candidates, Rex Burns, Al Hawkins, and Mark Whiffen, and our two panelists for the evening, Margot Pitcher and Shane Budgell. So now it's back to Shane for question number 3 of 6 from the both panelists.
Thank you very much. The third question is, with first response will go to Mark Whiffen from the PC party. Healthcare is an important issue in this area, and with only one palliative care bed available in Grand Falls-Windsor, more beds are needed to ensure the comfort of the patients and their families as they go through these difficult times. What would your plan be to help fix this problem?
As we all know, healthcare is a very important issue, and running our healthcare system remains to be a challenge. And it remains to be a challenge in long-term care. We don't have enough beds to meet our demand, and we've addressed that problem. We are looking towards somewhat of a public-private partnership, but not in the full sense of where we're going to partner with the private industry to create more beds, more long-term beds, and some of those beds will be coming right here in Grand Falls-Windsor. So that'll open up more palliative care beds at our hospital unit. The thing we need to also recognize is that as we move into this process, we're not privatizing healthcare, and I know that's a concern that people are trying to, or that's a fear the Liberals are trying to put in people's minds. We have these models work across the country. They work right here in Newfoundland and Labrador, and we have an example of that at Chancellor Park, where it's a private industry, but the government rents beds for individuals. So we want to continue on that model to quickly create 120 long-term care beds right here in central Newfoundland.
Thank you, Mr. Whiffen. Mr. Burns.
Thank you very much. Healthcare affects everyone. There's no one hasn't been affected by healthcare. And of course, the long-term care bed situation is very difficult with regards to the people who are wanting these services. You find that for some reason or another is that when a person leaves the home, one of the homes, that they can't have the full care, they ends up in the hospital and then they ends up in the hallways. We need to have a new long-term care facility built for Central Newfoundland. That's the only way it's going to happen. And it's good to see that the Lionel Kellen House and people are supporting that, and that's a private hospice. And as a result of it, because of that, these are the people that are going to do the job that government should be doing. We need a long-term care facility besides this Lionel Kellen House in Grand Falls-Windsor so that we can keep our young people, keep jobs, keep professionals here, and that's how we build our economy. But if we do not look at a strategy for a long-term care program in Central Newfoundland, as we all know, the stats has already shown that we're getting older and the majority of the people are seniors, and the seniors need this care. And we need to make sure that a long-term care facility is basically built to have the proper number of beds so that we can service our people from Grand Falls-Windsor instead of having them be forced to go outside in other regions. And that goes for the whole district of Buchans. Many people in Buchans being forced to go to Clarenville and down to Bayvert, and we shouldn't be allowing that to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. And finally, Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. You know, I think we're all aware of the health care, I would call it somewhat of a crisis because of the fact that we got to realize that 40 cents of every one of our dollars goes into health care. And we have to find more efficiencies. And I want to, first of all, applaud all of our frontline workers that work so diligently to make sure that the residents of the hospital are taken care of under certain difficult conditions. Long-term care is certainly an issue that we have to face, because if we go to hospital, there are beds in our hospital today that certainly could be available to people who need them on a daily basis that are not available right now. I too agree with a long-term care facility, and obviously our government has made commitment to that as well. The only difference is our government has talked about a private-public partnership in the actual construction of a facility. However, we do not want to privatize anything when it comes to the workers and healthcare workers that are involved. So I wanted to make that clear. And we want to work with the people in Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans area because we believe that there are a tremendous number of needs that are happening on a daily basis. And we understand that families are going through some very difficult times. I personally had to go through that very difficult situation when my father-in-law was going to be discharged to a long-term care facility outside of our own town. So I know what people are going through, and I feel for the families that have to face that. So the quicker that we can get a long-term care facility that can accommodate these families, the better it will be for all of us in this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Okay, now our next line of questioning. Our next question will be from panelist number 2, Margot Pitcher. Margot.
Question number 4 goes to independent candidate Rex Barnes. The waste management program that's currently in place in central Newfoundland has been a hot topic. If elected, how could you help to improve the existing plan?
Well, first of all, one of the big issues with regards to waste management is the cost that's associated with it, and people are very concerned that the cost is going out of control. There need to be meetings with all the players in the industry to figure out why it's costing so much, and as well as that, why is so much product, like there are certain products that are not being taken with regards to this service. And of course, there needs to be open communication with all the individuals involved to come up with a plan to make sure that instead of, and one example is people for some reason are not recycling cardboard. Cardboard seems to be a big issue for a lot of people. But the problem is that a lot of the people are either burning it or doing something with it, putting it in the landfill, and this should not be happening. There needs to be open communication on how we're going to deal with just the cardboard issue alone for businesses because of the cost. I think people are doing other things with it. But I think it's very important. That is probably one of the biggest issues facing communities because the environment is a big concern, and we've got to make sure that we protect the environment for the next generation to make sure that the young people start doing things the way we haven't been doing them, because we are the culprits of our own destiny, I suppose, with regards to destroying the environment. The young ones now are the up-and-coming group who is looking at making a clean sweep to make sure that the environment is kept the way it should for the generations for the future. Thank you.
Mr. Barnes, Mr. Whiffen.
environment is an important issue to everybody, and it's becoming a more and more important issue to young people. So I do believe that the approach that we're taking into regionalized waste management is the right approach. I think the issue and the concern around people with the citizens and with the municipalities and businesses is the cost that's being associated with this system. So the first thing we need to do, I think, is sit down with the individuals that this affects and determine how we can do this and reduce the cost on everybody and reduce the demand on everybody. I think that's always the most important issue. We want to make sure that this is the most cost-effective way of doing it. And, you know, I'm always interested in hearing suggestions as to what people would want to do or suggestions on saving costs. You know, I think there is a lot of value in curbside recycling. I think there's a lot of value in now the more materials that we're able to recycle. I think that's great for the environment. It's great, and it's great on reducing the waste. I mean, I know now I only put out, you know, a fraction of the waste that I put out one time. So it's working and it's very effective. I think cost is being a concern. My parents are small business owners. It affects them. I work with nonprofits, and it also affects them and their costs. So, you know, at the end of the day, if my municipal taxes go up, which, you know, very well looks like they may, it's an impact on me. So, you know, this is something that's a concern to everybody, and it's certainly something that we need to address. But the approach, I think, is correct in regional waste management.
Thank you, Mr. Whiffen. Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Of course, that's been a hot topic with us in the town of Grand Falls-Windsor for quite some time. I'm well aware of some of the issues that we have to deal with. To me, it's rather, I guess, a big concern when it comes to business. And I know a lot of businesses have been impacted by it, particularly in the cardboard and that sort of thing. And I know the concept is good, and what we're doing is good. It's really protecting our environment and protecting it for our young people going forward. However, I feel that when we look at, we've been trying to analyze the budgets at the town for quite some time. There are some concerns that we have, and we want to look at it more from a cost recovery. I don't think that we should start planning for putting in a fund for buildings later down the road and that sort of thing. I think right now we should, when we transition from where we normally were in the past into where we are today, I think we need to look at more of a cost recovery rather than getting into extra cost. Now I know that with the increased amount for businesses, I think it's an area that we need to look at, and we have talked with the local business community. And obviously that, as a member, again, it would be something that I would look at very closely and certainly have communication with them to see if there are any ways in which we can reduce the costs, particularly for the business people, in getting the waste to the landfill site.
Thank you, sir. And now again, thank you for joining us. If you're just joining in, we're continuing with our panelist questions for the candidates of Candidate Forum 2015, Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans. So Shane, it's back to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Question 5, with the first response will be from Al Hawkins, the Liberal candidate. With the recent additions of responsibilities of pharmacists in our province, such as administering flu shots, that patients is required to pay up front as opposed to visiting a doctor's office and billed through MCP. Do you feel that pharmacists also should be able to bill MCP for these procedures?
Well, personally, again, I don't know. I haven't looked at what our party policy is on that, but certainly for me that would make sense, and certainly would be something that I could discuss with the party. Again, I know it's one of the key things in making sure for our older people that these flu shots are available. And I think that I know right now under the MCP, it's basically through a doctor. You can only bill out to the doctors. But certainly I would assume that's an area that we could explore, and we could certainly take a look at that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Whiffen?
First of all, if we're going to improve the quality of our healthcare, particularly primary healthcare, we need to look at expanding the scope of practices of our health professionals. I think this is a great way now to start reducing some of that burden. And as you alluded to, some of the the scope we're focusing on now is the pharmacists with the supportive panel, where they are allowed to offer vaccinations and eventually move into the diagnostic and prescription of minor illness. And this gives another opportunity, another avenue for people to access that service outside your doctor's clinic. So I certainly support the move to do that. In terms of the cost to the individual, I know that's something that we as we move forward with expanding the scope and working with pharmacists a little more, that we could look into charging that off to MCP, much like we do with our private clinics.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Barnes.
Thank you very much. I do believe that is in the right direction of which way government should be heading with regards to making sure pharmacists have their skills increased to allow for people to have their flu shot. I mean, we're supposed to make it easy for people to get things done, but for some reason we make it harder for people to get it done. We know that most of the people who are getting the flu shot are seniors, and most people can't afford to pay that money up front. That's why they go to the doctor, to make sure that it's covered under MCP. I think it's very important that we have a liaison. The pharmacies that are giving the flu shot should have a liaison with a doctor at the hospital, so to make sure the number of people that are being done, and it should be free of charge. There should be no cost to seniors or anyone who wants the flu shot by going to pharmacy. We're supposed to make it easier, not harder, to get the flu shot, because government prouds himself on the fact that so many people get the flu shot and the benefits of it. So I firmly believe that if the pharmacists are getting it, there should be no cost to it, but they should have to tally it up, the number of people getting it and who's getting it, and the government should pay that final cost to the pharmacists, just like MCP, to doctors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. So again, we're plowing through our questions and very quickly coming to the end of the panelist section. And our final question of the evening will come from panelist Margot Pitcher. So Margot, it's over to you.
Thank you. Question number 6 goes to PC candidate Mark Whiffen. As many people are aware, the Adult Basic Education program is no longer available at the College of the North Atlantic campus in Grand Falls-Windsor. Students wishing to enroll in this program now have to turn to a private college. What's your stance on bringing this program back to the Grand Falls-Windsor campus?
Well, I think we need to look at the overall needs of our post-secondary education and what the mandates are of our private college system and our public college system. Right now, the program was previously offered at the College of the North Atlantic, at Corona College, at Kean College, which gave students 3 options to choose where they wanted to go. Each of those options were publicly funded if they so choose. I think that when you look at the mandate of the College of the North Atlantic and the direction in the labor market and the demands for programs and services, I think you need to look at whether or not there's a fit for that program in the college system right now, if it is being offered elsewhere for the same cost. So if there's no net different cost to the student, I think if we continue in the way we go now, that the system is working the way it is. There's still the option for adult basic education, but our college now has more space to expand its program, to offer more programs to meet the labor market demand. So I think when the decision was made to remove that, it was made with good intentions, and I think that unless there is a demand for that, for the ABE program at the college again, I think it's okay to offer it in the system that it currently is.
Thank you, Mr. Whiffen. Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Basic education is important to all of us, no matter how old we are, whether we're children, whether we're adults. I personally think it was a bad move at the time to remove that opportunity from the colleges, any college. And again, it's something I believe that every student, whether you are 12, whether you are 16, whether you are 35, you should have an opportunity to take and have that right that was given to you at any college. And again, that's an area that I certainly would want to look at and review to see what impact it was, whether it is a negative impact today, And if in fact it is a negative impact, and if in fact people are not getting where they should be getting, and getting the offerings they should be getting, then I think very strongly that we should take another look at that.
Thank you, sir. And finally, Mr. Burns.
Thank you very much. Adult basic education is a government responsibility. Government should basically have that program in the College of North Atlantic for the people of this province who want to take advantage of it. It's a common knowledge in this province that going to a private institution, the cost of doing programs is much higher. And if government wants to make sure that we had the skill sets and the people educated to take jobs for the future, because there's a lot of people now who are going back to school, and the common complaint is it's too expensive to go there, and people don't bother to go, and they get frustrated. I think it's government's responsibility to make sure that the adult basic education is left in their institution to make it easier for people to take advantage of it. And I do believe that we realize that there is a cost associated, but this cost is a must for government to bear, and I think it's very important that the government continue open this program up in their institutions rather than going to the private. And if they want to go to the private, I have no problem with that, but it should be in our institutions as a government institution as well.
Thank you, Mr. Burns.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are just joining us or have been with us since roughly 7, you're watching the Candidates Forum, Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans 2015. That last section you saw brings to an end actually section 1 or 2, depending on what you're following, of the panelists' questions for our candidates. We're going to take a short break in a moment, and lots more to come. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to our Candidates Forum 2015, Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans. First of 2 forums, I might add. Tomorrow will be the exploits section of this as well. We invite you to stay tuned to Rogers Television for coverage of that. I would first of all like to reintroduce our 3 candidates, and of course for the independent side of things, if you will, Mr. Rex Barnes. For the Liberal Party, Mr. Al Hawkins, and for the Progressive Conservative Party, Mr. Mark Whiffen. This next section is a section whereby each candidate will pose one question, or come up with, if you will, one question, which they will throw in whatever direction they choose to one of the other candidates. They'll each get roughly 2 minutes for the response from the person that they're throwing it to. We will time it, as good timers we've become, and then it'll just go to the third person in no particular order, And I will give the nod, if you will, gentlemen, and we'll go from there. So again, I'll just repeat. Each of you will ask one question. You can choose who you ask the question to, and you'll be given a 2-minute response section, gentlemen, to follow your question. Hopefully that doesn't sound too convoluted. We'll keep it simple. And actually, I'll take the liberty of naming the first person to ask the question. And we'll start with Rex.
Thank you very much. This campaign has been a very different campaign, because most campaigns you talk about provincial issues. However, this campaign, for some reason, the people in Grand Falls-Windsor are expressing concerns to me about the following issues. First of all, people are very concerned with the Salmon Festival loss of $1.2 million in 2 years, increases in business and residential assessments, and honorariums of electoral officials have doubled in the last 6 years. And as well as that the workers' pensions has gone into a deficit of $1.8 million. And people are very concerned about that. The residents are concerned, and they want to know why this has happened and how it's going to be paid for with regards to these losses, and how can the residents believe that their interest matters to you? And the questions for Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Obviously, there's about 5 questions in one, so I'll try to address them as best I can. As Mr. Barnes is well aware, of course, as mayor of the town of Grand Falls-Windsor in the past as well, is always a challenge. And when you come to invest in, of course, the Salmon Festival for us has been very big over the years, something that we have tried to make sure that we've put off a first-class act for the people that are living here and the business community. Now, and when you come to these situations, sometimes you have to depend upon the public, and the public are the people who actually purchase the tickets. And again, you know, one of the situation this year, you know, there were all kinds of reasons behind why it failed, and I'm not going to get into that because I only have 2 minutes to answer all the other 4 questions. But anyway, council made a decision. It's a decision of council, and that's how we live by that. The assessment rates, obviously, the Liberal government is already committed to looking at the assessment agency and making sure that we make changes there in the assessment agency. The other one with regard to the pension plan, we have looked at the accumulated deficit in the pension plan. It is over $1 million. However, with the increase, with the last couple of years, we have improved in the pension plan area, and also government has really written off a letter for us saying that we don't have to do a deferred pension right now, and we don't have to pay into that as much as we've been paying in. So that's another piece that the government has put in there. And the other with regards to what? What was the other one you wanted there?
Well, the honorariums of elected officials.
The honorariums of elected officials, as you are quite aware, of course, it's based on a percentage of the property tax that comes into the community. We take most of the honorarium goes into community events such as the Kiwanis and sponsoring the Kiwanis Music Festival and getting involved in many of the other events that happens in the town. So it's not all going into honorarium, it's actually going into many events that happen in our community, and we've done that quite proudly over the last number of years.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. So just a word of caution, gentlemen, and not that you're going to do this, but there is no rebuttal, just a straight questions. The second question.
I just wanted to know what other questions.
Well,
I couldn't
absolutely,
remember all 5.
absolutely.
The main question is that do the interests of the people matter to Mr.
Yeah,
Hawkins?
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And you should know that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You should
No
know that.
rebuttal, just straightforward question, answer, and we'll go from there. The second question, Mr. Hawkins, is yours, sir.
Thank you. Well, I got to try to, I didn't write anything down because I wasn't sure how this format was going for sure. But anyway, my question is Mr. Barnes. Mr. Barnes talks about a real choice and a voice. I'd like to know how Mr. Barnes is going to have a real voice. He has no party affiliation. He has no policy and will not be able to speak in the House, and obviously will not have any support staff around him. So I'm just wondering how he's going to effectively represent the people in Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans.
Well, simple. Is that
Excuse me, gentlemen, again, once again, no rebuttal, no response,
Oh.
just a straightforward question.
He's answering my question.
And again, we're going to, yeah, well, again, the question is going to have to remain something for later on. That you'll have to continue with your.
My understanding, Mr. Moderator, that we're going to answer the question.
Yes.
Well, if you just a straightforward response. There we go. Thank you.
Oh, the straightforward response is that if we voted everyone on the government side all the time or in the opposition, we'll be getting the same old, same old. I mean, look at the people who have voted for Yvonne Jones in Labrador as an independent. She stood in the House on many concerns, speaking for the people. If I'm elected, I'm going to speak for the people and the people's concerns. And it doesn't make no difference what party you are or where you sit. The key is the people need a voice in the House Assembly. I'm asking the people in this district of Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans to put a voice in the House of Assembly to speak for them. I will be their voice.
Thank you. And a little bit of an apology from me. I cut you off halfway through your question, but I thought there was a second part to your question. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Whiffen, you're the third man.
I've been a supporter of the PC party for many years now, and it was my personal values and principles that guided me to that party that I remain with today. Even when times got a little tough, I stuck with my principles and advocated for change within my party to ensure our party maintained those values that attracted me, and we were successful in doing that. My question can apply to both candidates, but this time it's directed to Mr. Hawkins. A very short time ago, you were a member of the PC party. You attended all of our fundraisers, you contributed to our party, you accepted political appointments to NALCOR, you were always side by side with ministers, you were publicly spoke in favor of our party record and the great work we've been doing. You were even rumored to be a candidate for us in this election. But then you flipped. You appear to have affiliated yourself by convenience, not by conviction. So this is a question of values. I'm interested to know, and I'm sure many viewers are because I get this question at the door, what happened to change your principles? Why didn't you stand up for them, and why did you walk away?
First of all, thank you for the question. First of all, I've never been a member of the PC party. That's the first thing. So I've always been a Liberal all my life and been proud of being a Liberal. The second one, with regards to supporting the PC party, I attended one, I think it was a golf tournament for Mrs. Sullivan, and I think there was a $100 donation that was made from that golf tournament, just participating. The other areas, it is true, I work with the party because I'm the mayor of the Grand Falls-Windsor, and I work very, very close with Minister Sullivan, a very good friend of mine, who did a tremendous amount of work for this district. I've got to admit that. And I don't mind doing that at all. And I know listen, I've never been one to say, for example, that party did not do for their district when I was a mayor. So I had the interest of the people of Grand Falls-Windsor. I got to tell you a little story. When I got elected, the first morning after being elected, I went into my office. I was mayor. I went to the town manager. And the town manager said to me that morning, he says, Al, you're known to be a Liberal. How are you going to work with the PC party and you're a Liberal? And I said, Mike, by the time that I am finished, they will not know that, because I have to work for the people of Grand Falls-Windsor. And I put the people of Grand Falls-Windsor first and not the Liberal Party. Now is an opportunity for me, as a member of the Liberal Party, to put the people of Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans first. I intend to do that, and I'm looking forward to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we got to keep throwing it back to you, the viewing public. If you're just joining us, we're coming towards the last section, actually, of our Candidates Forum 2015, Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans. And, of course, our three candidates, Mr. Barnes, Mr. Hawkins, Mr. Whiffen, have given their opening statements. They've been questioned by our panelists. And we're very quickly moving into the final segment of our evening, which will be a closing statement by each of the candidates. Once again, I'll reintroduce as we go, starting with the first, second, and third candidate in the order in which they stand. So, again, you gentlemen will be given 3 minutes to bring your summations. At the end of that period, our little stopwatch might sound, and we'll all smile at each other and call it an evening. So here we go. So I now invite Mr. Barnes, if you will, to bring us your closing statement, sir.
Thank you very much to the constituents of Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans District. During the past several weeks, you have heard many promises regarding issues that affect you. Regrettably, you and I know that in all likelihood, these promises will not be kept. As the blame game starts just after the ballots have been counted, the successful candidate will tell you that they did not know the public purse was empty. Another spin you will hear is that you must have someone on the side of government if you want to get things done. What an insult to you and I. Do not be afraid to make a different choice in this election. Are you telling me that Jack Layton, Scott Sims, Danny Williams, when they were sitting in the opposition, and when Yvonne Jones ran as an independent, that you were wasting your vote? I say no, you weren't wasting your vote. You were making a difference. The success of Yvonne Jones, like many others on all sides of the House, was because of respect, honesty, integrity, and trust. Now I stand before you, asking you to have faith in me. If elected, I will serve the people of the district the same way I did in the past. I will serve with respect, honesty, integrity, and trust. During my tenure, I remained committed to those who were elected, who elected me to represent them and all my endeavors, and will work diligently to get the job done. In my most recent public office as mayor, I committed to keeping taxes down, being a good steward of our money, working on your interests, and providing a level of service that has been the envy of many districts. And that did not come without sound fiscal planning and decision making. Like I said earlier, I have heard your concerns at the doorstep. I've heard about the concerns of the $1.2 million in loss of Samfest and what's that going to do to your pocketbook. I've heard about the $1.8 million deficit in the pension fund and where that's going to go. We've already found out about the skyrocketing property taxes and what's that going to do. And the list goes on. I will guarantee you, if I'm elected, my promise to you, the constituents, is to work very diligently on your behalf and deal with the issues that are important to you. Issues such as health care, home care, long-term care beds, the youth, our most valuable resource, seniors, accessibility, other issues for people with disabilities, forestry, mining, education, affordable childcare, affordable housing, restoring openness, accountability, and transparency. And the list goes on and on. Friends, it all comes down to one thing. And I ask, who do you want to represent you as your MHA? I will tell you that it should be about confidence and trust in electing a representative and who will work for you. Someone who's accessible, available, and dependable. Now I ask for your support on Election Day. On November 30th, mark an X for Rex, a member who will work for you.
Thank you, Mr. Burns.
Thank you.
Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Again, I'd like to thank Rogers TV and the Chamber of Commerce for giving me this opportunity to speak to residents of the district of Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans. I have met many of you at the doorsteps, at the grocery store and the corner store, and every time I hear a common concern. You want a government that you can trust, a government that truly listens and acts on those concerns. Our province is at a critical juncture. Here in central Newfoundland, we can see prosperity and success just around the corner, but for the past 12 years, it has been just beyond our reach. A stronger tomorrow means government that offers stronger leadership and better management. Government that shares information instead of hiding it. Government that keeps time for people, that takes time for people instead of shutting them out. A government you can trust. A new Liberal government will deliver on all those things, as well as our 5-point plan to a stronger tomorrow. This is in addition to the other policy we've rolled out, including establishing the Office of a Seniors Advocate, in-home healthy living assessments, leveraging Crown land for communities to access, an independent appointments commission, and reversing the planned HST increase because the increase would only undermine consumer confidence, hurt business, and take more money out of your pockets. We deserve a district and a province that is self-sufficient, sustaining, and strong. On November 30th, you will have the opportunity to choose more of the same or choose something better. Paul Davis and the Conservatives would like you to make that decision in fear. But I'm optimistic about our future. The Liberal plan has clear answers for a stronger tomorrow for Newfoundland and Labrador. Our fully costed platform will be released in the coming days, and we have already released more detailed specific policies than the other two parties combined. People know our province, and they know our district should be doing better. The Liberal Party has a plan to make that happen. We will work with you to create a stronger economy, stronger healthcare, stronger communities, stronger education, and stronger leadership. It's time to move beyond the challenges of today and focus on the road ahead. On Monday, November 30th, I humbly ask for your support. Vote Hawkins, and thank you for this opportunity to bring my message tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. And thirdly, Mr. Whiffen.
Thank you. This election is about leadership and who can best deliver results for not only Newfoundland and Labrador, but also for our district. I believe I am that person. I am a leader. I also believe in change, and I believe this is possible by making changes, not by simply changing parties. This is why I support Paul Davis and his new approach to leadership and how he is guiding our province. It is a large part of why I did not hesitate to put my name forward when the opportunity presented itself in Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans. In fact, I jumped at the opportunity because I feel I represent something positive. I'm a fresh face to politics. I have new ideas, experiences, and perspectives that I could bring forward to our district. But most importantly, I have a record of delivering results in both my personal and professional life. My experience in business development and extensive community involvement gives me an understanding of the challenges facing our area and the ability to identify the potential for growth. I am young, active, and energetic, and my knowledge of the economy and sense of community will make me a strong voice in the provincial legislature. I want this job, and I'm willing to work hard for it if you give me the opportunity. I want to fight for middle-class families and our seniors who are among the most vulnerable in society, especially with regards to the recent increases in property taxes. I want to fight for people who want to make the best choices in education for their children and for themselves. Education is so important for personal growth and to enhance the contribution of our workforce and ultimately this region's economic success. I want us to have the best education system available. I want to continue the great representation we've had over the past 10 years and building on the investments we've already made in this district. I'm proud to run with the Davis 15 team and their vision of hope, health, opportunity, people, and economy for all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. And today, we released our fully costed platform that you could all view and make your choice. As opposed to the Liberals who are hoping for a stronger tomorrow, I want to work for a stronger today. On November 30th, I respectfully ask for your vote to be the next MHA for Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whiffen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, our three candidates for the Grand Falls-Windsor-Buchans seat. And whatever upcoming government is elected, whichever way this goes. So, gentlemen, I would like to once again thank you each for your time, energy, and efforts this evening. I'll end by reintroducing you, if you will, for those, again, who are just tuning in or for whatever reason maybe forgotten what you look like, and God forbid that we'd ever do that. So here we go. Rex Barnes, the independent candidate running in the upcoming provincial election. Al Hawkins, the Liberal candidate, running in the same operation and for the same end. And thirdly, last but not least, Mr. Mark Whiffen, who is the Progressive Conservative candidate for this region as well. Gentlemen, I thank you each very, very much for your time and again your energy and effort this evening in bringing us your views and your take on the issues as they appear in our area. And wish you all the best in each of your respective runnings, if you will. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again to the three candidates. We thank you also, or throw thanks out to our two panelists, our questionnaires. And I don't know where the camera's pointing now. We have no monitor, but I'm looking at two wonderful looking people. Here we go. I'm getting word from on high that it's on the right people, not on me for sure. So Margot Pitcher and Shane Budgell, our two questionnaires for this evening, thank you very much. Also to all of the volunteers here at Rogers Cable for bringing us this evening's show. And whatever involvement the Chamber of Commerce had, certainly we thank you as well. And I again, would like to invite you to join us again tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock for, I'm going to call it forum number 2 for the exploits region, and 3 candidates for that running as well. My name's Dave Anthony. It's been a pleasure to have been the go boy this evening, if you will, for want of a better word, and it's been an enjoyable evening. Once again, thank you all for viewing, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.